Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumin and today we're jumping in to Greedfall 2. And I could not be more excited. Greedfall 1 was phenomenal. The world, the setting, the story, the characters, the lot of it. I loved that game. One of my favorite games in recent years. And I'm pretty keen to see how the early access approach is going to work for Greedfall 2. So hey, come along with me. Let's jump in and give it a peek. Dive back into the unique world of Greedfall once more, in an even deeper RPG experience. Uprooted from the island of your birth, find your freedom, explore the old continent, and forge your destiny through alliances, scheming, and battles. The year is 1231, 3 years before the events of Greedfall. You are a native of Teer Fradee, and as this adventure begins, it's the eve of the initiation that will see you become a Donegada, a sage, a guardian of your people's knowledge, and a spiritual leader. Things obviously don't go according to plan, and you are soon transported to the old continent where the bulk of the game takes place. Greedfall 2 is, as I mentioned, going to be using the same early access approach as Baldur's Gate 3, which will, in my opinion, no doubt work quite well. Right now, you can play the first part of the game, the beginning of the game and story, and you can also create and customize a character, which is why we are here. I'm going to start all of this by saying that it has been mentioned many times now that a lot more will be added during early access. And this is obviously a work in progress. And you'll be able to see that at certain points along the way here. Along with that, however, for those that don't know, the game uses the, let's call it the Mass Effect approach to main characters, where you are creating and customizing a character, but it still has its own backstory and personality and everything else in place already. It has a life. It is fully voiced, and thus your main and most important choices will be between male and female for the body and the voices. Because the voice acting it's awesome. With all of that said, the system currently has a bit less in terms of visual customization than the first game, but obviously when we played the first game, it was at the full release. It does, however, look way better overall. Like, you cannot even compare it. Much more so. So much so that I actually really believe that during creation and customization, they need to let us zoom in a whole lot more and see the characters up close. I've played the game for a decent chunk now, and the characters, and your character specifically, it all looks so much better when you zoom in the cutscenes and stuff like that, which is really weird, because usually it's the other way around, with character creation being prettied up and the game itself being watered down. Now it's the opposite in Greedfall 2. Like, you create the character here, and as you can see, it looks pretty decent. You know, the character model itself and all the details on it, yeah, pretty cool. But when you actually jump in, you start playing and you see your character in the cutscenes, you're going to be gasping at how good it looks. It looks so much better. It looks great up close, and they've just done a good job on the model. Now, I don't know if it is just the camera angle that kind of sucks here, or maybe the lighting or whatever, but that is something they can definitely address, and I feel like they could display the character in a better or more appealing way here. That's one of my smaller criticisms, and I'll talk about that at the end. With all of that said and done, I'm sorry, it was a really long intro. We are going to jump in now, and we're going to have a look. I'm going to warn you again, we are jumping into a curated experience here. We are making our character that is a member of this tribe here on Teer Fradee. Right? Right. Now, first up, gender used for conversations. You can pick male or female here. It's sort of a whatever, you know. You can probably pick either one and you won't even realize it all that much. It is the way that they are going to address you in the game. And with that said, this next choice, I would say, is arguably the biggest choice, because the character is fully voiced and you have a whole lot of fantastic conversations to work through when you play this game. You're going to be hearing your character a lot. So pick the voice you like. Me? I really like the female voice, but I do think the male one sounds pretty good too. I've played a little bit with both of them. I am going to let you guys listen to them and make your own mind up, however. There isn't much here in the sample. I do think they could possibly add a little bit more for us to get a better feel for the voices, because I think that the male voice sounds a little soft and soft-spoken in these. And when I jumped in and I actually heard the character talking in the conversations, he sounded way better. Okay, so just a small, once again, criticism that I have, but give them a listen and see what you think.
Hello, Forkan.
No, not you! I'll make...
What brought you to Teer Fradee? Hello, Forkan.
No, not you! I'll make them pay for this!
Hello, Forkan.
No, not you! I'll make them pay for this!
What brought you to Teer Fradee?
There you go. Literally 3 lines per character. It's okay. It's not a great example of the range that these guys have. Because again, I've played a bit of the game and I really do believe that the voice actors and actresses, they did a phenomenal job on this. Especially considering the weird accents. And I say weird because it is kind of weird to us because this is a sort of made up language, right? The weird accents and the different languages that they have to speak. They did such a good job. So that's the voices. It's an important choice. Super important. Now let's move on to the appearance. I mentioned before, I feel like it's sort of an approach that Mass Effect used where you've got the 2 main characters. It's actually kind of similar to more recently Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you have the 2 main characters and they have sort of preset visual appearances. Like, this is the canon male character, that's the canon female character. I like that, right? I like that. Speaking of canon, you do have the scar, the growth, the marking on your jaw and cheek, much like in the first game. I'm going to let you guys jump into the game and discover the full meaning behind that yourselves. But that's something you can't customize and it's very much part of the story. But I do believe it's kind of cool that they have it in this way. So that character right there, that's your default male, that's your default female. However, you can obviously jump in and customize them. And we're going to look at the appearances. Now, as I start here, I will say it's a bit of a shame that there's just an appearance slider. You know, there could be so much more. I will talk at the end more about what I feel like they should add. But the first game did have a few of these options split off, like the eyebrows and the eye color, right? Now, as far as I understand, those things don't play much into the story, so they should really allow you to change that, and they most likely will, because this is going to be updated as we go on. But let's look at some more of the options here. This guy's got some little pig eyes. There are a bunch of decent choices, and these can be further customized with skin color, hair, and hair color. You'll see that as we jump in. The eyebrows, I mean, I do feel like they should give us an option for that because some of them are a little heavy, you know. A little more heavy than I think a lot of people would like. But again, just keep in mind that if you do jump in here and you do choose one of these, you will easily be able to take it a step further, change it a little bit more by messing around with these options down here. You'll see. We'll do that in just a moment, right? I do like what they've done with the characters. Not every one of them is just straight up supermodel traditional beauty. They've got interesting faces. I dig that. I like it when a game sort of goes with the lore, the story, the world, and creates characters that look like they are actually part of that. You know, you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb in every game that you play. Sometimes you want to look like you are actually living the life, you know, part of the world. And this is one of the games that I think does that incredibly well. So there you go. We got 18 in total. Personally, I'll be brutally honest, I feel like these first 2 are the choices that you should go with, and I feel like the rest of them aren't all that great. They are cool, they've done a good job on them, but they should give us more customization options to actually further tailor them to our liking. And with that said, I do believe these first 2 are good. You know, they've got a good balance where, as an example, on the male character, I believe that the facial structure and then the eyebrows and the eyes and sort of the overall expression, it just suits the role that we jump into quite nicely. Again, the eyebrows will be a main focus point, I think, for a lot of people because they are pretty heavy on all the other faces except that first one, as you can see, right? They are super heavy. And when you jump back to the first one, it's like way more subtle, way better. On the female, however, I think the eyebrows do look good. On this one specifically. So I'm going to take first just this female character and then we're going to look at the skin tones quickly. Skin tones that they have here, I'm not going to say they're actually like super curated. They actually have a decent selection. You can actually go very dark, which is way more than I expected, by the way. And it's interesting how it interacts with the marking on your neck over there. But it is way more than I expected. And you obviously can't go too pale either because I'm assuming your character spends a bunch of time in the sun and, you know, that is just that. But decent selection of skin tones. This is probably one of the things they could most easily improve upon. Next up, we have the hair. And they have some pretty nice and interesting hairstyles. We're going to look... I think this is a good color for it. This is my personal favorite. I love the roots and stuff. Or I don't know if it's roots or braids. Once again, I firmly believe they should let us zoom in here. I love the extras, the details in the hair. This is also really kind of nice. It sort of gives me Neve Campbell vibes. Nice short hair. And I'm going to go through these on the male character as well. Not that I really need to, but I will do it just so that you can get an idea of what they look like on a male face. But overall, you're going to have the same options both ways, right? And needless to say, you may have noticed this already, but when you switch your appearance between the male and female, the body does change. It's like, yeah, man, you saw that, surely. I believe some of the hairstyles are way more detailed, I'm going to say. Like, they put a bit more effort into some of them, where I feel like they have really, really nice textures on the skin. And usually when you look at hairstyles like this, there's this line, and it's always so visible where they sort of blend the hair down, and it usually looks like gnarly, dude. It looks really, really bad, and I am saying gnarly in the worst possible way, where they have this gross, like, flat texture. Here you can see they've actually got a whole lot of detail, and that impresses me greatly. Again, let me zoom in, please. Whereas I feel some of the other hairstyles that they have here are a little more plain, and the detail is obviously slightly lacking in that regard, but they've done a good job. I think that the hair itself looks nice, and I want to very much point out here, this character creator and this view that we are so rigidly stuck in, where we can't zoom in or out, it is doing this no favors, because you are seeing a whole lot of visual clutter and noise around the edges of the hair. And when you zoom in and look at your character in the conversations and the cutscenes and stuff, that's all gone. And you get to see all of this up close, full HD, none of this nonsense. And this is obviously to do with the depth of field that they have going here, and the overall detail, you know, the fine detail on the hair. And if they let you zoom in on this, that will all disappear, and you'll have a way better look at it. So, like, number one thing they got to do is let us zoom in here, because you will be able to see and appreciate all these styles up close. But they are really nice styles. I personally really like this one. I love how neat and tidy it is, and how smooth and sleek it is compared to some of the others that we have. That one's also kind of nice. I mean, okay, to be fair, they're all pretty good. Also, very, very nice braids. I think that they are incredibly well done. Again, it's a difficult thing to have this point where the hair meets the scalp. It's a really sore point where I feel oftentimes the guys who make the models, they just don't know what it looks like, or they don't have the technology to make it look good. This looks phenomenal. This is incredibly well done. It's a really small thing, by the way, but yeah, it makes a big difference, because it can really pull you out of it, you know? This is beautiful. I dig how they've taken this one style and made it modular with all the different options, like on the back and stuff. It's very cool. Very, very cool, and not a bad choice for a hairstyle, to be honest. And that brings us to the end. I'm going to pick that one that I said I like. Which one? There's like a bunch. This is actually a really nice one. Let's use this one for the hair colors. So in terms of the hair colors, I think we can all pretty much see it's grounded in reality where that's concerned, but they do have beautiful colors. They've got a nice deep black, they've got a beautiful red. It's super nice, and they actually have some pretty nice looking blonde colors here, which I think is actually kind of rare nowadays. Oftentimes, for some reason, games have like this weird green or like vomity tinge to the blondes, and I just don't understand how they get there. It's way nicer when they lean towards the warmer tones in the blonde. Way nicer. But the hair colors look really nice, and I'm gonna keep saying this. I sound like a broken record, but like really, you guys gotta check these characters out in the cutscenes to see all of this in its full splendor, right? You gotta do it. It looks so much nicer. But I do believe that some of these colors, like especially the red, they are just nice choices. Like, they will make you happy if you jump in with them. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the male character. I really like this hairstyle. It's kind of nice. I'm going to go in with the male style, and we're just going to look quickly at the skin tones, and then check the hair styles out on the male character as well before we jump into the skills and the attributes. So there you go. That's the default male one. Well, that's the default one. It's not the default male one. As you can see, we're going to have all the same colors and all the same styles here, and that's cool. It's good. I like the equality between the two. You know, there's never a reason to have a certain style locked to a female. That's ridiculous. Or a certain style locked to a male. I mean, the short hair specifically, it's like, what the hell kind of world do you live in where you cannot have short hair? What? So I'm glad that they did give us that option. And hey, I'm kind of proud of them for actually doing that. It's nice. You will be able to see quite clearly that there isn't a huge amount in terms of hair physics here, but that's again not necessary. I feel like certain games, they overdo it sometimes with the hair physics, and it becomes an unnecessary addition that impacts things in a negative way more so than positive. But there you go. That's a decent look at what's available. And again, I kind of like it. It's a fantastic starting point, and we've got a decent number of choices here to make us happy. Now, with that said, we are going to move on. We're going to have a look at the skills quickly. This is probably the biggest improvement from the first game as it stands, because the first game, while it did give you like a couple of choices, not even really a handful, it gave you a few choices. This seems to give you a way more robust selection to start on. Now, I'm going to go through all the options here, but I'm going to say that, as you can see here, these locked ones are not available yet. So you're only looking at the early game stuff at the moment. Even the extra sort of passive stuff here, not really available yet, right? A lot of them you're not gonna have. So just know that a lot of this is still work in progress, and they're going to be sort of changing and updating things based on community feedback, and that's fantastic. Let's look, before we sort of go too hard, at the profiles that are available here, because there's a nice selection. It's cool. Protector. Mobile melee fighters specialize in defense and controlling the battlefield. Their starting weapons an old stone hatchet. They have path of protection and weapons of war. And in these, some examples of the skills. I'm just going to give you the examples. Protector's stance, taunt, and just pause if you want to look at them, and hurtful words. Then on the weapons of war, we have mastery of impact weapons, violent charge, and knockdown. And these things you're going to want to pay attention to, because the combat system in this is pretty cool. It's nicely done, and the combat feels really good. It's a lot of the game, you know. You're going to spend a lot of the game in combat, so definitely think about what you're doing with this, because it's going to, you know, it's going to change the way you play the game. You're going to notice as we go through here that there are a few trees that, well, there's more than a few. There's like a decent number of trees that you're going to be able to mix and match to create these. So we have Protector over there. Now if we jump to Hunter, we still have paths of protection, but then we have bows alongside it. The Hunter is Archer that specializes in dealing negative effects. It starts with the Tracker's bow. Again, we've got the paths of protection here, which has Taunt, Hurtful Words, and Protector's Stance. Then we have Bows, which has Power Shot. You'll recognize that from the first game. Double Arrow, and Coated Arrow. And there's a lot more that you can obviously unlock as you go through here. Then we have the Donegad. I believe that this would be your Canon class, and I believe that if you want to go for like the full flavor playthrough, this is what you should take, because you are literally starting the game out and you are doing your initiation to become a Donegad. So this is the one, right? This is it. It's a sage that specializes in versatile Teer Fradee magic. You start with battle braces. You once again have parts of protection here with Taunt, Hurtful Words, and Protector's Stance. Then you have the Teer Fradee bracelets, which is Bracelet Mastery, Healing Wave, and Bramble Shackles. It's sort of a nice all-round class. I actually tried this when I played. Yeah, I didn't pick the bow character, guys. Wow, who is this guy? I picked this because I thought, damn, flavor wins over, man. And it was really fun. The spell effects are awesome in this. Wild Fighter. Here you will notice that we have our first deviation from Path of Protection. This is a mobile melee fighter specialized in rage and attack. They start off with the Great Condor Axe. Path of Destruction here. They have the Destroyer's Stance, Reinforcement, and Roar of Death. Yeah, pretty cool. Then in Weapons of War, we have Mastery of Impact. These may look familiar to you because we had this on the first character as well. Violent Charge and Knockdown. Then we have the Elite Shooter. This is the Path of Destruction, along with bows again. Archers specialize in dealing heavy damage at a high cost in consumables. They use the Tracker's bow as well, but they have the sort of DPS-oriented path with the bows instead of the defensive one with the bows. So it's more the attacker, less the buffer, basically. They have Destroyer Stance, Reinforcement, and Roar of Death. Then they have Power Shot, Double Arrow, and Coated Arrow. Then you have Spellcaster here, which is Path of the Destruction. They are sages specialized in Teer Fradee and magic, dealing negative effects. Destroyer Stance, Reinforcement, and Roar of Death. And here we have, once again, the Bracelet Mastery, the Healing Wave, and the Bramble Shackles. Then we have a guide. They have Path of Charity, a mobile melee fighter specialized in providing party-wide positive effects and controlling the battlefield. They have the Mountain Puzzle as their starting. I haven't started the game on this character yet to see what that's about, but I'm kind of keen to look what that is. They start with the Path of Charity here, which is the Good Samaritan Stance, First Aid, and Words of Support. And I imagine that if you take Path of Charity and put that with the Donai Guard Braces, you'll have a full-on support character, which could be kind of interesting. But they have Weapons of War here, which is Mastery of Impact Weapons, Violent Charge, and Knockdown once again. Then there's Scout. Archers specialize in party support skills. They have Paths of Charity, which is Good Samaritan Stance, First Aid, and Words of Support. Then they have the Bows, Power Shot, Double Arrow, and Coated Arrows. Healer. As I was saying, there it is. Sages specialize in Teer Fradee and healing magic and providing party-wide positive effects. You have the Path of Charity over here, which is the Samaritan Stance, the First Aid, and the Words of Support. Then you have the Bracelet Mastery, Healing Wave, and Bramble Shackles. Then we have Free Creation, which is actually pretty great. Basically what this is it gives you all the trees that are available right now. And again, this is the early access build, so there is a certain amount available here. It will be expanded upon in the future, and you can just go wherever you want. Free creation is probably where most of you guys would want to end up if you really want to take this game to the maximum. And the way it is you can basically spend points anywhere, and you can unlock all these different things, and it's kind of nice. Yeah, there's just a lot that you can customize with this. And if you spread yourself thinner, obviously you will become a sort of jack of all trades that might end up being the master of none. But I believe that this is probably the best possible way to go about it, because again, having that freedom is just always more fun, you know, combining different stuff together. So free creation, yeah, you get to spend the 3 points that you start with in any of these trees, boom, 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 and you're good to go. And that is it for the skills. Fantastic selection, great starting point, I feel, and already so much more robust than the first game. Attributes. We are in free creation right now. And if you select something else here, as an example, healer, they will tell you what you need. So I want to just point that out. You can see here, it says healer. The healer focuses primarily on focus, and then will, and finally endurance, right? So you can already see where they put the points in these three, but the others are still a little bit important, you know? It's something that you will have to consider, right? But the stats themselves, you will notice when you click on them, they will tell you exactly what they do. I'm going back to free creation over here. Strength. Relevant equipment is one-handed impact weapons, two-handed melee weapons, and then it'll tell you exactly what they do for both of those things. You can put the points in here and you can watch it grow. The maximum does seem to be, it looks like 20, which is good. It's a good number. Then agility. Relevant equipment is one-handed blades and dual blades. Perception is two-handed ranged weapons, traps, and pistols. Will be the Teer Fradee braces and Theleme rings. I think that's how you pronounce it. Endurance gives you medium armor and heavy armor. And focus is light armor and medium armor. So you're going to basically look at this and you're going to see, you're going to sprinkle your stats in the ones that you're going to be wanting. I would say sprinkle is probably the wrong word. You will pour your stats into the one that is your focus. So if you're using, as an example, one-handed blades, you'll push agility, and then you can decide at that point whether you're going to be focusing on endurance or focus, which is more sort of speed and agility, and then you're going to throw it into whichever there. I like that there's a crossover here. You've got medium armor in both of these, so you can opt into being a quicker character and you can still wear medium armor, or you can be a heavier character still wearing medium armor. It's a really cool sort of extra. But that does bring us to the end. That's basically it for the attributes. Again, it's something that you're going to have to jump into for yourself, because as you go through these different profiles here and the different classes, you will notice that, again, you will need different stats in different places. You can sort of fiddle around with it. Greedfall is one of those games where the devs themselves say that they like to have people replaying the game to make different choices for your character, for the story, for everything, because it all matters greatly. But, again, we are done, and that does bring us to the outro. I love it. I think it's great. I'm usually very positive about these things. I like to see the good that's available, and the good is that the bones are phenomenal. The characters look so great when you are in the game, when you are actually playing, and I love that. And my biggest point of criticism is that the character creator does not do the models and the painstaking detail on them justice. We need to be able to zoom in character creation, like all the way. You guys have done such a good job. Dudes, the guys that made the models, the artists, phenomenal work. Let us appreciate it by zooming in, and let us see that visual fidelity and clarity up close and personal. That is, like, number one. Let us zoom in. Let us change the angle. Let us basically just see the character in quote-unquote different lights. If that means, yes, add in a day and night mode or vision to it, I'd love to see that too. But it's like, I'm not slighting the game and what they've done. I'm just saying that that would be fantastic to see at some point through early access, right? I'd also like to see a randomize option. That could be kind of fun. But honestly, the best input I could give is that they should give us all the options available on the NPCs that we run into in the game, and the options we've seen in the cinematics and the trailers. There are some really cool looking characters, and we, as the protagonists, should have the options to make ourselves look cool too. Eyebrows, eye colors, beards, horns, vines, markings, face paint, all the rest. But as I keep saying, that can obviously be added pretty easily, especially if the bones are good. It would be nice to have some inclusivity stuff. I understand that we're jumping into a specific world with a specific character that is sort of predetermined, but it's still pretty easy to add a bunch of inclusivity stuff, and it will make people happy, so it's always cool when you do that. I would also like to say it could be cool to have certain appearance options locked in to be discovered later. In other words, it would be cool if we play through the game and our character could change based on some choices we make. You know, you could pick up a scar here, you could pick up a marking or facial tattoo there, like you did in the first game. That would be really, really cool. If our character actually changed based on the choices. You know, it's similar to how Mass Effect had the characters sort of changing based on how good or bad they were. That's cool, right? It's nice to see that in your characters. But overall, I love what they've done with Greedfall 2 so far. It is early access, it is just a starting point. I get that, and I hope you guys get that. But hey, man, this is a nice start. And what I've seen so far, it makes me happy and makes me hopeful for the future. So thanks for joining me for this. I do appreciate getting into the game a little early to have a look at this stuff. It was really cool. It was nice to be able to spend some time on it and actually think about what's going on here. Because I have. And I am excited for the future of this game. So, yeah. Right now, in conclusion, it is a little limited. And there's a lot that they can still add. But they are going for the early access approach for that reason. So I believe, because they did deliver with Greedfall 1, that they will deliver with Greedfall 2. So I'm going to believe in them, and I'm going to say, hey, this is a perfect starting point, and I love it. I hope you guys agree. Hey, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. If you're going to be jumping in and playing for yourselves, I'd love to hear it. Yo. Yeah. Thanks for watching, as always. Give this one a like, share it, and do all that other good stuff. You can find my links below, my coffee page, my Twitch channel, and all the rest. And hey, if you're jumping into Greedfall 2, good luck, dudes. Good luck, and enjoy. Happy that.